Greetings. I thought I'd share some thoughts on issues that have plagued organizations for quite a while. There are four components to this presentation. I'm going to talk about digital twin versus BPMN and process automation versus process mining. The digital twin really was born when the Apollo 13 issue occurred and they had to have a twin sequence of activity to get the command module safely back to Earth. In today's world, we do that digitally with a model. We use it in organizations to understand your various value streams, especially in today's world where changing in real time is critical. But the question is, isn't business real time and doesn't it change? The answer is yes and yes. But currently, with a high rate of failure in the process of identifying and implementing change in real time, the digital twin comes into play. So the benefits, according to Forbes, and I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of data on this thing, so you can pause it to read the entire slide if you'd like. Artificial intelligence has really progressed and has become much more affordable. You can use it to help optimize your company and your processes within it. And I have a real issue with just saying customers, because in today's world, it's stakeholders. It's not just the customers, it's the stakeholders. And what we've really found in the pandemic is this has become even more important for sustainability. A couple of definitions. First one, digital transformation. Digital transformation is really using the technology that you have to create or modify business and operational processes. It isn't the entire business transformation. So the digital transformation is usually under the guidance of a consulting firm. So how come we've got a 75% failure rate? Well, as consultants, we know a lot, but we don't know your business as well as you do, and we certainly don't have control over the resources required to make digital transformation happen. You need a clear picture of what happens today and what you want to go through in order to create that stakeholder transformation. Because if you can't, it's like, okay, I want to go to Niagara Falls. Okay, is that New York or Ontario? Where am I starting from? But wait a minute, as soon as I leave where I'm at, that's going away. And as soon as I get to Niagara Falls, well, I've made my trip. Granted, but what you've done is, okay, I'm in Niagara Falls, where do I go next? So what the digital twin does is eliminates that wasted investment. You're perpetually changing the model of your business to meet the current needs. So that gets us to the second definition. Business transformation is how you fundamentally change the business, the organization, how you operate it, how you manage it. And you've got people, process, and technology involved in that transformation. So let's talk about ERP. They continuously fail to achieve targets, time, on budget, have the return on investment expected. If the ERP you selected works fine, what's wrong? Well, your people have multiple roles within the organization, and they execute stages of processes. When you apply fixed function package software, you have to match the real world informational requirements to that software. So your people need information in order to execute their stages of various processes. So what are those real world functions? In the digital twin, you define them. And if you don't define them, or the definition is inadequate, you have a risk of failure. This may come as a surprise, but some software products aren't what they claim to be. Easy test for digital twin. Does every component in the digital definition have a real world counterpart? Yes or no? Conceptual components require business workers to translate the concept into their own environment. If you've got 2 people or more, each worker sees it differently, and it's possible neither one of them gets it right in terms of what you need for your organization. If the software product conforms to the standard of business process mapping notation, it is not a digital twin, and I'll define that in a little while. The M officially stands for modeling, but it really is a 2-dimensional map. Digital twin is a 3-dimensional model. 3 dimensions. Roles performing activities using resources. Your employees, your stakeholders all have multiple roles. Because BPMN came from essentially developing software program flows, it lacked the concept of a role. It really became a 2-dimensional map, and it's very conceptual. And frankly, you don't find swim lanes in the real world. So why not BPMN? It wasn't designed to reflect your real world. It's a single flow mixing process workflow with the sequencing of tasks. End-to-end workflow helps managers make those improvements. This is called a value stream model. And yes, there are multiple value streams. Swim lanes really limit your roles that can perform a stage in a workflow. So it frankly doesn't work for changing your organization. So why the digital twin? It conveys equal understanding and has equal utility for people inside and outside of your business. It uses words and images that people understand. Being a model means it's 3-dimensional. Everything's related. You can change a component and know where that change could impact other areas of your business model. So when we separate that workflow, essentially we're providing a picture of the business that from the executive level right down at all the various levels of planning, you can understand this and take it into essentially your thinking. So we have a digital twin that conveys rapid, high-quality change initiatives. It's sustainable, and you have an evolving knowledge base of your organization. So what else? When you use a model solution that can interface with all of your business solutions, employees learn how to do their job the way the organization needs them to do it. And if you have a new hire or somebody changing roles, the learning can be done without the need to have another employee or consultant do that education. You can interface with every type of document used in your organization. Now your employees see and understand that document and what its intended use is. Basically, when you take that model and now you have your targets for continuous improvement embedded in it, you can now measure where you are versus where you want to be. And this is what's the setup for process automation and process data mining. Before I go a little bit further, I'm going to give you some definitions. So value stream mapping is what we use when we want to understand where waste is, non-value added time, effort, and cost. BPA is business process automation, which is sometimes known as workflow, and workflow is BPA, but they're not really the same. Workflow is typically within an ERP solution or within one solution, whereas full BPA actually interacts with many technology solutions. RPA essentially interprets information. It replaces human work by using bots. And this one's important to understand. SMED, the single minute exchange of data, is the speed at which the next stage of a process needs information. The whole idea of an agility, reducing business cycle times, all comes from the fact that when somebody finishes one stage of a process, the next person downstream from them is immediately informed that they have something to do, whether that person is inside or outside of your organization. So why automate the processes? Your stakeholders expect you to be fast and agile. BPA enables SMED, and your business must manage your compliance to standards, regulations, and laws. So what BPA does is ensures no time-sensitive or audit-required process is not in compliance. You're managing risk. When you automate your business processes, you facilitate RPA. Logical, data-driven tasks that take humans' time and effort are just done. Won't that have an impact on the person that did the task? Well, yeah, but doesn't that create the time for them to do more value add activities for stakeholders? So why not automate the processes? Well, if you automate a badly designed process, you're going to have a negative outcome. Obvious. The failure to make the human effort and take time for thinking during the creation of that model is going to hurt. One way or another, you got to think and take time to think through and get input into the creation of the model. If you don't have a plan to introduce the automation process, you're going to have some chaos. So it's incredibly important you have organizational change management and a disaster plan for recovery of human resources while you're doing this. So why is data mining good? Well, first of all, we understand risk management situations very quickly and adapt efficiently. When you look at your risk factors, there's a lot of downsides, and it can be from annoying a customer or an employee to organizational insolvency. The organization identifies your opportunities for improvement. Very little effort required. And when you've identified your stakeholder values, the processes that impact those values can be identified, we can eliminate the waste, and your organization wins. There's some downside. I mentioned this before. When the organization automates processes and mines the actual execution, employees become very aware. without your proper planning and setting of expectations, and you have organizational change initiatives, expect turnover, and it can be at a very high rate. Managers become complacent. They become too dependent upon the systems to provide information, and that lose that management by walking around initiative to keep that human touch of management alive. Yes, we can manage many things remotely, but we are humans, and we still need that human interaction between management and their subordinates. Okay, finally, he's done. So process models, digital twins, etc. They're not only good for stakeholder values, but to remain competitive, they're going to be a must. However, you need to put lots of time and thinking into your planning, or you're going to hurt. That's all there is to it. And the only question is, how badly? So, get to the point where the CEO and their direct reports fully understand all of the connecting parts. Then you've got a chance of making this not only successful, but everybody in the organization understands what's in it for them and buys in, and you have rapid acceptance of the change. If you want to contact us, here's the information. Take care. Good luck.